Motherfuckers, you're listening to the motherfucking Zach Moonshine Show live right here on Metal Devastation Radio. That right there was a track from Christ Fuck, another one from the compilation over at Obscure Chaos Zine. Make sure to go check that shit out, man. But speaking of that, as I said earlier, we have a very special fucking guest on tonight's show from the band Axemaster. This is Joe Sims. What's going on, dude?
What's happening, man? Kick-ass to be here.
Hell yeah, man. So,
appreciate you having me.
Anytime, brother. Anytime, man. So, Joe, tell us, man, what's going on right now in the world of Axemaster?
It's all about our new album we're working on. We're getting about to the home stretch. I'm co-producing it with a guy named Rick Fuller out of Akron, Ohio. And part of it's being done here, and part of it's being done there. And it's coming down to the home stretch. It's not going to be too much longer now before we'll be able to get Pure Steel to all the tracks and be ready to really hit it, because this new album is something special.
Badass, man. It's very cool, man. We can't wait to hear it. For the people out there that don't know, how long have you guys been doing this, and exactly how did this get started?
Well, I'm the only one that's been in the band the whole time. I started it back. Well, actually, it was the name that I chose for a collection of my songs in high school that I self-made a little cassette to give out to people. I just used the name then because I thought it kind of sounded stupid just using my own name. Wanted to make it sound like it was a real band, so I had seen that the term Axemaster in a circus magazine back in like 1982, and it's the headline on the cover, one of the headlines, Pat Travers, the radioactive Axemaster, and I still have that fucking cover to this day. It's laminated in my notebook. But then when about, I don't know, 6 months to a year later, we were getting out, me and the drummer were getting out of this cover band we were in, and I wanted to do just originals, and that was the best name that we thought of to call it, so that's what it became. After that, that drummer actually was with us on the Overture to Madness album, the original drummer, but he's gone now, and I'm the only original member left, which for some bands makes a cheap, like a cheap copy of what they were at one time, but it's a little different in this case because I always wrote like 90 to 95% of the music and even a lot of the words through all the releases. So, other than my taste in music getting a little heavier over the years. Yeah, I get older. I like heavier music the older I get. But, it was always my baby. I wrote, I did promo, I learned how to do studio production, so I do studio production. I'm pretty much a jack of all trades where this band goes.
It's fucking badass, man. That's cool you mentioned Circus Magazine. I remember that shit, dude. I used to have a subscription to that magazine when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I was maybe a freshman or sophomore in high school when this came out, and I saw that on the cover, and I was like, man, Axemaster would be a really cool name for a band. Like I said, like 2-3 years later, when we decided to go ahead and start an original project, and, the name was already on that tape that we were going to play like 3 or 4 of the songs off of, so we just decided to just stick with that.
Hell yeah, man. Well, as far as the band, or as far as your musical influences, what would you say some of the bands that really got you going?
Well, I started off getting into like the hard rock, heavy metal thing when I first heard Kiss back when I was like 6-7 years old. That, back in like, I don't know, like 78. Yeah, I'm an old fart. But what's really cool about today's world is there's a lot of old farts out there who kick your ass on stage.
Yeah,
But anyway, you know, then the older I got, like I said, the heavier shit I started getting into. You know, I went from that to old Aerosmith, then AC/DC, and then Black Sabbath, and Iron Maiden, and Metallica. So it kept progressively getting heavier as I got older. But I would say that, like, especially since the band returned, and, you know, with the Overture to Madness album and now this new album, I would say are across, my writing is mainly across from some of the less speed metal, traditional 80s thrash, you know, a little Slayer, maybe a little Megadeth here and there, and some old Metallica. You know, combine that with, like, the Sabbath of the Dio years and some Iron Maiden, and that's pretty much right where we are style-wise and what bands I could compare us to. And, you know, there's a lot of other bands and guitarists that have really influenced me, but those bands come out in my writing the most, I would say.
Very cool, man. Something else I wanted to ask you about Pure Steel Records. I know last time we did an interview a long time ago, I think, and at that time you guys didn't have a label, and then it was cool because, like, sometime later after that, we already had Pure Steel as one of the labels that sends us music. And they send me a promo for Axemaster, and I started laughing. I'm like, dude, that's fucking badass, man. That's that band we just fucking talked to not long ago. How did that work out?
Well, Pure Steel, I mean, they're pretty much were the perfect label to get things going again. You know, because, I mean, we couldn't have expected at that time, without having released any new music since, like, 91, we couldn't have expected that, you know, a major indie would have been interested in us. But Pure Steel, it makes a lot of sense because we've always had probably our biggest fan base in Germany through the years, ever since the Blessing in the Skies album came out. And it was kind of funny how it happened because I was looking at them and another company out of Greece, and a guy who has really helped the band out and is a great friend, even though I've been so damn busy in the studio. If he's listening, I haven't talked to you in a while, Christian. His name's Christian Clemente. They call him Bruder Klee. He's friends with a couple of the guys over at Pure Steel, and I think that he helped really convince them that this was a good move for them to make. They may have been a little bit hesitant because they knew that I was recording and mixing this album in my own studio. And I know Bruder said that they don't like to do that or have their bands do that for the most part because they're really, he said, you would be surprised what kind of shit they've gotten from bands trying to pass it off as something they want released. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that was a little bit of a stumbling point, but it worked out great. You know, they're nice, they're great people to work with. I really enjoy talking to them, and they really seem to be on the upswing as far as their notoriety and the bands they're getting, and, you know, the people over here who are aware of the label and their bands. It seems to be really growing.
Hell yeah, man. I was going to also ask you about that, about the recording process. Like, now that you're doing that, how was the recording process going now as opposed to how it used to do?
You mean how we used to do in the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's night and day, you know, the difference between reel-to-reel tape and digital. You know, I mean, back then, you had to pretty much nail an entire song. There wasn't a whole hell of a lot of punching in 1985 or 86, at least, you know, not in the studios that we could afford at the time. Without, it's not like we could go to Electric Lady or anything like that. So, you know, that's a big thing, you know, you can you can record in pieces instead of having to record a whole song at once. Even drums on the Overture album. I took takes from several different versions of him playing the songs and took the best parts and put them together. You're really, even in a studio like mine, which, to be honest, if anybody would have known what I went through to finish that Overture album and how much time I put into it and how, by pro standards, crappy equipment I have, I don't think producers at a place like Electric Lady would have known whether to laugh or cry. Because it was bad. I mean, I was staying up so many nights making myself sick. I mean, it was hard. You know, especially since that was my first try at actually doing a release. So, you know, I was in kind of uncharted waters, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Actually, with my lack of experience and lack of professional gear, that album has no business sounding as good as it does.
Hell yeah, man.
Not to say it's a major label sound, and the sound that we've got for this album is like, if it's not major label quality, it's close. I mean, Rick has just killed it as far as the sound goes and everything. He's been amazing to work with. And, you know, now I have the experience of that album, so I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do a couple of years ago. Little tricks I've learned and all kind of shit like that. But, you know, yeah, I mean, and the great thing about it too is, you know, you can write while you're recording. You know, you can throw things in there, just like the song I'm working on right now. I'm working on a song called Night of Pain that will be on the new album. And while I'm right in the middle of working on it, I'm like, oh wow, this guitar fill would sound really cool in that part. So I just strap on the guitar, play it, boom, it's done. You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, everything that I've heard so far from you guys, man, like I cannot tell the difference that it sounds just like all the stuff that I'm used to fucking hearing, you know, the stuff that I buy in stores, the stuff that I grew up to listening to. I mean, it sounds professionally done.
Yeah, this new album will sound as good or better than anything you'll find at Walmart. I mean, seriously, and honestly, I cannot say that about any other recording that I've ever been a part of.
That's really cool.
You know, because I've done recordings with The Awakening Rain and Dreamer Nightmare, as well as Axemaster and Inner Terror, which was kind of an Axemaster hybrid. But no, this is by far the best sounding thing that I've ever done, and coupled with some of the best material that I've ever been a part of, and it's just, this is going to be something special. I'm so looking forward to getting this out and heard.
Very cool, dude. I got some questions coming in from the chat room. Lady Cat from Chaos, from Obscure Chaos Zine, she says, you're currently in the studio recording the new album. Are you still playing around with the title?
You know, we do have a title for the album. I know one time Jeff, our singer, mentioned it on stage, and I'm not sure if I should go ahead and mention it until we have a big reveal. But we do have it. It's one of the songs from the album. We are going to have a title track, and Jeff commissioned some killer artwork for the cover. So it's you'll find out real soon. Even though he did announce it at one show a little while back, I'm gonna wait till there's more of a reveal, and we reveal the song titles, all the song titles and credits and so on. Just be patient, Cat. It'll be happening sooner than you think.
Got some more questions from the chat. Megan, she wants to know, have there ever been any accidents on stage? Who gets the most groupies? And have you ever been in jail?
Okay. Well, it must not have been the Megan I thought it was, because I think she knows I was in jail once. DUI. 2 days, a weekend in jail. It's the only time I've ever been in jail. Repeat the first part again?
Any accidents on stage?
Not with Axemaster. I have that accident. I had one hilarious accident on stage with a band called Rain. We got up on stage. I was playing the first song, and I realized that I had forgotten to put the whammy bar on my guitar. This was probably like 97, something like that. And I was like motioning to our road manager, like pointing at my guitar case on the side stage, you know. And he gave me the bar. And at the time, like an idiot, I didn't use locking nut on my guitar strap. So while I was playing, I picked the guitar kind of up with my knee and put the bar on it. But when I did that, the strap came undone. So I'm standing there holding the guitar, and I'm like, well, you know, what the hell do I do now? I still have 2/3 of the song to play. So I figured, well, I'll just go up and put my foot on the monitor and pick up my knee, you know, and just rest the guitar on my knee. So, you know, play the rest of the song, put the strap on, I'm good to go. So I did that, and the monitor gave way. And flipped me backwards. I smashed into our lead singer. I'm not even sure if he ended up on the ground or not, but I ended up laying flat on my back playing the rest of the song. It was like just a stupid circumstance. It wasn't like the only stupid thing I did was forget to put the bar on my guitar, but other than that, it was just ridiculous circumstances. And I don't know, I had heard tell from our drummer, because the drummer Axemaster was also the drummer of Rain. And I've heard tell through him that there might be videotape of that lurking out there somewhere, but I've never seen it. And it's not on YouTube. Probably, if somebody had put it on digital, it'd probably be on YouTube.
Nice. Amy in the chat room, she says, that sounds like a Spinal Tap moment. Yeah, and usually I've seen bands do stupid things on stage that cause problems, but like, you know, going up and putting, you know, resting your foot on the monitor is something you do all the time. I mean, geez, you look at an Ingve show, he's constantly got his foot up on the monitor, you know? Who would have thought that the whole wedge gave way and just rolled forward? You know, so, I mean, I jumped back instead of going forward, like off the front of the stage, you know, I jumped back, but, you know, I lost my balance. Hell yeah. We've come close to a couple other ones, but we were able to, in this band, but we've been able to avoid them. Well, Kat in the chat room, she's got another question that kind of pertains to what we're talking about. She says, at times you'll see some new bands perform and a guitarist string will break and they'll start to panic because they don't have a backup. With your own experiences, what advice would you have to give them?
Always have a backup, number one. Especially if you have a floating bridge. Because, you know, you lose one string and all the rest of them are gone. They're all out of tune. You know, if you don't have a floating bridge guitar, you actually can't, depending on the string, you can fake it. Yeah, it's possible. But knock on wood, let's see, where's some wood? Knock on wood, I have never in my life broken a string on stage. I've had a lot of other things go. We had a show, this last fall, where it's like, man, I mean, it's like everything went wrong. I mean, first I get up and the opening band had used my amp cabinet, and by mistake they took my speaker cable. So right before the show, I'm running around, I got no speaker cable. The sound man ended up giving me a speaker because they had left. The sound man ended up giving me a speaker cable. Then right before we were going to start, I went to adjust my background vocal mic. The mic clip broke.
Holy fuck.
And then I get up on the stage, and I'm playing, and there's a few songs where I do volume swells. I look down, my volume knob on my guitar came off. It was on the stage somewhere. And this all happened within the first, song of the show. It's like, fuck, what else is going to go wrong? Well, we got through it, and, that's where experience comes in, You just got to go with shit sometimes. You can't let it bother you, but don't do what this one band did that opened up for Rain. They were young kids. They were probably no more than 20. And they weren't a bad band, but the guitarist did not bring a backup guitar, had a floating bridge guitar, broke a string in the second song, and tried to replace the string while he was on stage.
Holy
he
shit.
was up there for 15 minutes doing the tuning song.
Damn.
Yeah, and I felt, they were all right guys, man. I liked them, and I felt bad for the guy, but it's like, dude, what are you doing, man? Now, with me, I play really heavy gauge strings, and we tune down, and I don't play the guitar really hard, so I've never had a problem with that. I've had electronics go, but never a string, but these people who play 9 or 8 gauge strings and they play the guitar pretty hard, especially if they're playing more hardcore kind of stuff, then that happens more often than I think people realize.
Yeah. Well, speaking of live shows, for people out there, what can you tell them about your local scene?
Yeah. It's better than some, but it could be better. I live really close to Akron, maybe about 15, 20 minutes, and I live about an hour south of Cleveland, depending on what part of Cleveland you want to go to. The Cleveland scene isn't bad. There are places to play up there, but unfortunately, over the last year, there have been 2 or 3 at least clubs that had live rock metal bands play that have shut down in Akron. So the Akron area, it's getting really tough to find very many. I can only think of 2 places to play in Akron right off the top of my head that have a decent stage and sound system. And but the thing is, we definitely do not want to just focus on, our the Akron scene. We've played shows out of states, quite a few times. And, as long as the show is a cool show and they're going to pee people there, it's worth it. So, the show's promoted properly and, all that type of thing.
Yeah. As far as some of the live shows that you guys have played, what's some of the craziest stuff that you've seen so far in your career?
In my career?
Yeah. What's something that really sticks out in your mind?
The craziest thing I didn't actually see. And I'll tell you this story. You're going to love this shit. We were playing at this big place in Akron. Isn't there anymore. But we got a call the same night. It was a Wednesday night, and then obviously not a major time to be playing a show. But this guy calls us up, and we were practicing anyway, and it's like, hey, our opening band tonight canceled. Can you come in and fill in? So, we were like, okay, whatever, we're practicing anyway. We might as well just go up the street and play the show. We get there, and it was, and I won't say who it was, but the headline band was a hair metal band, and they were a bunch of assholes to us. And it was obvious that they were trying to sabotage our show.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Right off the bat, we were guaranteed at least a level check. We not only didn't get a level check, they didn't turn a couple of our mics on. And it was really screwed up, and everybody was really pissed because we're like, hey, we did this as a favor. Mm-hmm. We come to a show that, we have no way to promote it because we were called at 7 o'clock to do a show at 10. And, we're doing them a favor and we're getting hosed. Well, apparently our drummer called up a few of his friends from work to come down and see the show. They came down. Apparently, they heard us talking about what was going down. And while the headline band was on stage, they snuck back to the dressing room and pissed all over their clothes. I guess they pissed in their shoes, on their leather jackets. You know what that shit does to leather.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about this. I was at home. Our singer comes laughing his ass off so hard I thought he was going to cry. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know, he told me about it. Oh, my God. I mean, we never asked them to do it, or, you know, they did that totally on their own. I wouldn't never ask somebody to do something like that, even if somebody was a dick to me, but it was hilarious.
That's pretty funny, man. All right, well, Joe Sims, for people out there that want to check you guys out, what kind of, you guys have band links or anything that you want to let people know?
Oh, yeah, we got a ton of them. Our main website is easy to remember. It's www.axemasterofficial.com. And you can get to all our pages from there. We have links on there to all our pages, but we've got the Facebook page, of course, and a YouTube, a bunch of old videos on YouTube. If you're into, like, old vintage videos, we've got a video of us playing in 1985 before we ever even recorded our first demo. It's funny to, like, see me back when I was, like, 19 or 20, you know? And that's one that I highly recommend because there's a lot of cool stuff on there. But, yeah, and we have the Twitter thing and that. And for people out there, people are used to seeing me online constantly promoting the band. I haven't been on there over the last, 6 months very much at all because I've been spending all my time in the studio. You know, so I've been pretty MIA, and I wrote on a couple of the social media pages, that I wasn't going to be around. But to anybody who didn't catch that and wondering what the hell happened to me, I'm still around, and as soon as I get this totally done, I'll be back because this album deserves pushed like no album I've ever been a part of. So believe me, I'm going to be on there all the time before too long pushing this album.
We will definitely help you push it when it comes out, dude.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Is there a release date yet?
No. We our plan, according to Rick, because he's doing the final mix and master. I'm doing all the editing, recording guitar and vocals, and putting any sound effects in it or whatever. He says that he thinks, and we should be done by the latest of late spring. But we're shooting for mid or early spring, but, if we have any serious problems, late spring. And then, of course, that's when we'll get it to Pure Steel. At that point, it's out of our hands. It's in the pressing plant, but we've already got the cover situation straightened out. We don't have to worry about dealing with that. So hopefully it won't be too long afterward, that they'll be able to get it to the pressing plant right away for the physical CDs. We also have one other thing coming out that'll be coming out somewhat coinciding with this release. It's going to be vinyl.
Nice.
It's going to be a collection of old songs on vinyl. I'm still talking to Pure Steel about it, so I don't know exactly what material that they're going to use. I just sent them the best copy of all the songs that we did back in the day, and they're going to decide whether they want to do another Blessing in the Skies re-release or if they want to put various songs on it. I don't even know yet if it's going to be a double or a single record because they're already taking pre-sales for it on the Nuclear Blast web store. As Nuclear Blast works with Pure Steel. They already have it listed there as a double album, and they're taking pre-sale orders for it. But we haven't talked about, there's a lot to go with that. We haven't, totally discussed cover, graphics. I'm still waiting to see what songs they want to use and whether it's going to be a single or double album, but according to Pure Steel, it's definitely going to happen. I'm just not absolutely sure when. They would like to do it coinciding with the new, with the new album release.
That's really cool, man. Well, as soon as I see that shit, dude, I will definitely be purchasing myself a copy of that. As far as vinyl is concerned, man, what do you think about that? The new, this new resurgence of vinyl, like, it's really coming back, and it seems to be creating a way for bands to sell music on a medium again.
Yeah, to me, I am for anything that's a physical copy. I get downloading. I've downloaded albums myself, or maybe buy a song here or there if I just like one song off of an album. And downloading is convenient, and you can put it right on your iPod or smartphone or whatever. But I don't want to see it take over to the point to where physical albums, whether they be CDs or vinyl, die. Myself, I feel like when I'm downloading something and don't have the physical album, I'm missing out. Missing out on the graphics, on the cover. I may be old school because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, but, it was great when there was, like, killer artwork on the cover and you hang the shit up on your wall,
Yeah.
You could, you've got right there, you got everything. You got probably words, you've got all the information, photos, and all that. I'm just glad to see that another physical way to purchase music is making a resurgence, because I just don't want to see that CDs and albums die.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want them to go by the way of the 8-track. Well, the 8-track deserved to die, but and I can understand that, people not digging on cassettes and that, but, hell, man, you could rip a CD, you could throw it in practically anything and listen to it, I don't know. It's just my preferred way of getting music.
Well, hell, in the underground scene right now, there is actually a small somewhat resurgence of the cassette tape thing, Like I've seen a lot of bands doing that, I'm like, I don't even have a cassette player anymore, but I do have a record player.
Yeah, I've got a cassette player. It sure as hell seen its better days, but I have used it because I've got an outboard CD burner, and I'm able to, like there was a song from our release of Five Demons that had never been in digital format previously, that for this re-release project, I used my cassette deck to burn it to CD, but cassettes are all right. The thing that sucks about them is how they degrade.
Hell yeah, man.
Just like the old videotapes.
Well, Joe, what kind of plans do you guys have for the future besides obviously putting out this album?
Well, we're going to try. Obviously, we're going to do everything we can to push the hell out of this. And I would really, really hope that this album, being what I know it's going to be, will be, it won't be limited to underground. You know how when you don't have a Class A recording sound, you have, like a Class C recording sound, you're limited on who you can reach. People in the underground and who do, do radio stations such as your own, they'll play it. But it doesn't really get out to the mainstream so much. Because the mainstream, especially in this day and age where you can do so much in the studio, they expect pretty much perfection.
Yeah.
So this album, number one, I believe will be able to reach more people because it will be eligible to be played on over-the-air radio. And, not necessarily a metal station. It could be played as hell on a classic rock station. I've heard classic rock playing old Metallica,
Yeah.
I think just the fact that the recording is going to be so much better than anything I've been a part of, that it's going to help, that in and of itself is going to help open up some doors to have it listened to by more people. And with all that being said, the main thing I want to do is put together some, have some kind of touring situation happening. We've played out of state shows here and there and here and there, but never any type of a real tour situation this band hasn't played yet. And that's one thing that I would really like to do, as long as we could, it just comes down to finances. Is because we've had opportunities. We had an opportunity to tour Russia, and we had an opportunity to do a small tour in South America. But it just wasn't financially doable. Neither one. And, it would have been a hell of a risk, and we're musicians. We're not rich. So, a lot of it depends on that, but hopefully we'll be able to get something that, won't be a huge risk, and, we'll be able to play some shows, hopefully outside the United States. Love to go to Europe and play.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Joe, I got one more question from the chat. Kat is talking about, she says, I still have 8 tracks, cassettes, 45, vinyls, and CDs. What format do you enjoy listening to the most, and what are some of your favorite releases you have in your own collection?
Well, I listen to CDs, I'd say 90% of the time. I have a record player and a whole bunch of albums. I have a cassette player and a whole bunch of cassettes, but I don't listen to them very much. That's me. My favorite band has been for a long time has been Chastain. I love David T. Chastain as a guitar player, and I love the shit that they do. Their album, For Those Who Dare, to me is just gold. That's like my favorite album of all time. And Ruler of the Wasteland they do is right up there too. Some of my other ones, I've always dug like live recordings. I know some people don't really dig the live albums. I happen to have always dug live albums because, hell, what really got me into hard rock and heavy metal was Kiss Alive 1.
Yeah.
And I still dig that, stuff like Live After Death.
Live albums have usually been my favorite, man. As long as they're done right, if you really capture it correctly.
Yeah, I've heard some live albums that, in some bands. See, now the Axemaster has always been a one guitar band. Now we're a 2 guitar band, and I mention that because a lot of one guitar bands or live recordings don't really show what the song is about because it really requires 2 guitars. I love Black Sabbath, absolutely love them, especially when they were with Dio, but some of their tunes just didn't sound right live because it just having one guitar, at least to me. I saw them back in the day on the Mob Rules tour. And them playing stuff like Sign of the Southern Cross, it didn't sound like the same song totally. So I'm very glad that we now have 2 guitar players, and we don't have that problem anymore. But let me think, other things one odd one that, Kat, you might find interesting. You remember the band The Plasmatics?
Yeah.
Wendy O? Well, they were a punk band for the most part until their last album, and their last album was metal. And it was really kick-ass. There are several names for it because it's been re-released. It was originally called Coup d'Etat, and I've seen it called The Mistress of Taboo. I've seen it called a couple of different things. Not the greatest sound quality in the world, but, man, it's really good. It's one of my top 5. Mob Rules is up there. what's the name of that Testament album? Damnation. Formation of Damnation.
Yeah.
I really dig that album a lot. But, you know, but the problem is like, and I see it in my collection, there's a lot of albums out there that I really dig, like 2 or 3 songs off of, killer songs. The rest of the album is you know. And I usually, like, rip those 3 songs and burn them onto a compilation CD. And that's the thing that, especially with this album and Overture, that I've really, really, in songwriting, tried to make sure that doesn't happen with us. And that is, you know, somebody's like, oh, that's a great song, but the rest of the album sucks. Yeah, try to be consistent and make a whole entire release of stuff that, you know, I mean, everybody's tastes are different. You know, I doubt, you know, nobody's going to like all the songs on any album. But, you know, that's one thing that I've really worked hard to attempt to do, is not have any filler songs. Have everything on the album be something, yeah, that's something I would jam in my car at ear-bleeding volume.
Fuck yeah, man. All right, well, Joe, I'm about out of time here, man. Is there any last words you would like to tell the people out there listening?
Well, like I said, you know, I've been kind of MIA because I've been working so hard on this album. But, you know, especially, you know, here in the next couple months when I'm done with what I'm doing, I'm going to be on, you know, on the internet a whole lot promoting this album and the band. So any fans out there that want to drop a line, I'm always into receiving, you know, mail, questions, comments from fans anywhere. That's one of the greatest things about being in a band like this, is I get to meet so many cool people. And it's a big, you know, I don't understand musicians who don't want to talk to the fans for some reason, or think they're better or whatever. I think it's the musician that's missing out.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things about, you know, traveling and playing shows in other places and the internet and all that, is I get the chance to meet so many cool different people. So even though sometimes I'm really busy and it takes me a little bit to get back with people, I always get back with people. And you know, if you want to ask any questions about the band or anything, don't think I'm just going to throw the letter or email in, you know, file 13. You know, I'm going to check it out and I will get back with you. You know, we're a band that's all about the fans. The only reason we had an opportunity to be with a label like Pure Steel is because we've had enough fan support. You know, we'd be just sitting there making demos on our own if it wasn't for fan support. So, and we will never forget that. No matter how big that we end up getting, we will never forget that. The fans are the number one priority.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, Joe, before I let you go, can I get you to make a station tag?
Absolutely. Hey, if you want me to do it on my own here, I got all the recording gear. I've done it many times.
Cool, man. You can do that too, but just say something like, this is Joe Sims from Axemaster, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
This is Joe Sims of Axemaster, and you're kicking some ass with Metal Devastation Radio.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time, Joe.
Hey, my pleasure. I love it. You can tell I love to talk.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon, and look forward to hearing that new record, dude.
You got it. Thank you very much for being interested, and hope your weekend goes kick-ass.
No problem, dude. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Later. There you have it, folks. Joe Sims from fucking Axemaster. Fucking cool fucking dude right there, man. I don't know about you motherfuckers, but I'm telling you right now is a good motherfucking time to put your speakers in your fucking window, in your front yard, in your neighbor's fucking face wherever you can put it, man. If you're driving down the street, roll down your windows. If you're riding on the bus with your fucking cell phone, take out the fucking headphones and fucking crank the little speaker all the way up and blast that shit, man. Make the motherfuckers around you extremely nervous. This is Axemaster on MetalDevastationRadio.com.